Where did the Holy Family, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus go when the angel told them to flee to Egypt? Find out on this episode of Ancient Egypt and the Bible. Today, we are going to talk about the possible destinations that Mary, Joseph, and Jesus could have gone when they fled to Egypt. If you like these videos and wish to help out, please hit that subscribe button. It really matters. And if you wish to help this channel financially, please consider becoming a Patreon member, or perhaps by purchasing my forthcoming book. Please use the affiliate link below. Today's question was asked by Beth Blankenship, and she asked, quote, I ran across some of your writing while researching for some information about Mary and Joseph's trip to Egypt, while King Herod was trying to kill Jesus. I'm trying to figure out where they stayed while in Egypt. Do you have any insight on this? Thank you, Beth, for your question. Now, Beth's question is referring to Matthew 2:13-14. Now, when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him. And he arose, and took the child and his mother by night, and departed for Egypt. Now, while we can't say for sure where in Egypt the Holy Family fled to, there are 4 likely locations that Jesus' family could have gone to escape Herod. Let's look at each of these possibilities and evaluate the likelihood for each of these. The first possibility that's often mentioned by scholars is Gaza. Now, Gaza is actually on the edge of Israel on the elbow of the Mediterranean before one enters the Sinai Peninsula. And several scholars have suggested that Joseph and his family could have fled to Gaza. But by the 1st century, Gaza was no longer really considered part of Egypt, and still a bit too close to be really safe. Now, there was a time when Gaza was considered part of Egypt, at the height of, say, the New Kingdom, when the stretch of Egypt was well into Palestine at that point, and Egypt had administrative centers throughout Israel. But by the 1st century, that was really no longer true. Gaza was really part of, say, the Philistine states at that point. So it wasn't part of Egypt anymore. It was more a part of Philistia or Palestine. The second possibility is Elephantine. The island of Elephantine is an ancient site just south of Aswan, in an area that we would kind of know as Cush. It is famous for its temple to Khnum, but it also had an Israelite population that fled from Nebuchadnezzar after they assassinated his puppet governor Gedaliah, 2 Kings 25:25. These Israelites thought that if they could run far enough away, they could escape Nebuchadnezzar's wrath. They were wrong. They were very wrong. When Nebuchadnezzar caught up to them, he wreaked a trail of destruction all along the Nile Valley. And the amazing thing is, when he did actually catch up to the Israelites at Elephantine, he didn't wipe out the colony, but he did brutalize it. After that, the Israelite community at Elephantine continued until roughly the 1st century. Now, the Israelite community at Elephantine spoke Aramaic, and they even built a temple to Yahweh there. However, it was very, very distant. Elephantine was the sort of place that Israelites went to when they had no intention of ever returning. It was considered to be that far away. It's the place you go when you try to escape from someplace and never turn back. So because of this reputation that it had, I doubt it would have been a likely choice for Joseph and his family. The third possibility is the city of Alexandria. And I think it's one of two likely choices that Joseph's family could have gone to. Alexandria was essentially a Greek colony that was established by Alexander the Great and his general Ptolemy. And it was essentially a Greek colony on the edge of the Mediterranean. It's on the western edge of the Nile Delta and on the shore of the Mediterranean. In the first century, Alexandria was the capital of the Roman province of Egypt. Alexandria had a large Greek-speaking Israelite community, and it had plenty of building projects that would have been ideal for a carpenter. This is one of the reasons why I think Alexandria is such an attractive choice to, say, someone like Joseph. You have a large Israelite community. It's all Greek-speaking. They do speak some Hebrew there, so you can actually get by on that too if you had to. And there's lots of work. For a carpenter, would have been fantastic. And it's well out of Herod's reach. So it would have provided safety, economic support, and a large community that could have easily welcomed Joseph's family in. So I think Alexandria is a great option. The other good option, in the final one we'll discuss today, is Leontopolis. Now, this city is also known as Tel Yehudia, the Mound of the Jew. It is a town that is north of Cairo in what was called in ancient times the Heliopolis Nome. Heliopolis was a religious cult center in ancient Egypt. But the Nome was more of a province, and Leontopolis lied on the outskirts of that province. It was a town that dates back to the Middle Kingdom and Second Intermediate period, so the town itself is quite old. However, it became an important Israelite site when refugees fleeing Seleucid occupation during the time of the Maccabees established a colony there. During the reign of Ptolemy VI, these Israelites built a temple to Yahweh that remained in operation until the outbreak of the Jewish War in AD 66. So it was a site that had an active, fervent thriving Jewish community. So I think the two options here are really between Leontopolis and Alexandria. Alexandria would have been the choice for an Israelite seeking economic opportunity and a large, diverse Jewish community. However, Nazareth was settled by Israelites who returned from Babylon and start a religious enclave. The people at Nazareth were devout Israelites. Leontopolis would have provided an Israelite community that was culturally similar to the devout religious community at Nazareth. So it's going to be a question ultimately of which one would have been more comfortable for Joseph and his family. Was the economic importance more of a critical issue, or was the devout religious community more of a critical issue? And we can't know ultimately, because the Bible doesn't tell us here. But it is interesting to note that in the history of Israelite religion, that the Israelites build 4 temples to Yahweh in its entire history. The one at Jerusalem, the one at Samaria, and 2 of them in Egypt. One at Elephantine, one at Leontopolis. This just tells you how connected the Israelites were to Egypt. So I think that is really, really interesting and really important, because they never build a temple to Yahweh in Babylon. That never happens. When they're exiled, they don't build temples in other places. But in Egypt, they don't build just one temple. They build 2 temples to Yahweh. So there is a vibrant Israelite community that has deep-seated, long-lasting roots in Egypt up until the 1st century AD. That's fascinating, and I think that's worth noting. So there's lots of possibilities that make Joseph's flight to Egypt not only possible, but plausible. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button again. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Ancient Egypt and the Bible.